All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over the PowerPoint presentations from Murachs, JavaScript and jQuery 3rd edition as part of the AWD Application and Web Development 1000 Web Technologies class. And I am about between half and 2/3 of the way done with Chapter 14 of 18. And I am up to page 418 of the book, which is on how to use regular expressions. First thing I want to do as we go into this is to show you a website. All right, and with that website, it is called regular-expressions.info. We make that nice and big, so if you ever want to take a look at it, you can. Now, regular expressions, for lack of better words, it's all about pattern matching. Okay, well, that's what we're going to talk about in just a moment. I guess it was pretty big already. That's real big. So, if you go out, and you don't need the http://www, if you just go out to regular expressions, regular-expressions.info, you get to this site. Not very aesthetically pleasing, but it's a terrific site. There is a quick start to get you going with a regular expressions tutorial that goes over terminology and the like. All right, there's more than one tutorial, I believe. There's a thing in here on tools and languages. So if I choose that and I go to JavaScript, well, here's all about using regular expressions with JavaScript. All right, there are other sites. There are plenty of sites out there to go over this. I just like this. All right, you may or may not agree. You can go out to W3 Schools. You can go out to Mozilla.org. You know, the dev part of Mozilla.org. There's a lot of places that you can go. But the author defines regular expressions as being coded patterns that can be used to search for matching patterns in strings. These expressions are commonly used to validate data entered by users. That's a pretty good definition. When you work with regular expressions, you create what's called typically a regular expression object. There are two ways of doing this, and they're both shown here. With this first technique, the one you see up on top, you use the new keyword with the regexp constructor. All right, and you code the pattern inside of quotation marks, typically double quote marks. With the second technique that's here, you code a regular expression literal, and that consists of a pattern between slashes. Regardless of the way you choose, you create a new regexp object that contains the pattern. Once you've done that, you can use it to find pattern matches in a string. To do that, you use the test method of the regular expression object. All right? And here's some examples. So again, we're talking about doing pattern matching. All right? When you go through this, you can also use what are called flags to set one or more properties of a regular expression object to true. Okay? You can also use what's called the I flag, which means literally ignore case. So this would look for Lovelace, whether it was uppercase, lowercase, or a mixed case, as an example. So again, regular expressions deal with pattern matching. Patterns are basically things that you want to find that exist, or you want to make sure. For instance, you might want to make sure that a telephone number is inside, the area code is in parentheses with a space, then the exchange, then a hyphen, then 4 more digits, something like that. That a zip code is either 5 numbers or 5 numbers with a hyphen and 4 numbers, that kind of thing. All right. One more site I wanted to very quickly show you here. So I've shown you regular-expressions.info. Another one, it's pretty simplistic. It's called HTML5pattern.com. Again, these sites are put there for functionality. They're not put there because they're pretty. So here's that site. all you need is html5pattern.com. And when you look here, you'll notice, for instance, if I got, as an example, postal codes, which are what we typically call zip codes, and it tells you this is a pattern for an American zip code. In English, this \D with 5 means 5 digits, and then this, the rest of it, this, since it starts with a parenthesis and it ends there, that means you can have, optionally, a hyphen and 4 more digits. But if you do that, you can only have one of them, and that's what the question mark at the end means. All right, so it says here, try it out. Well, let's try out 55555. And you see it's submitted. It worked. If I try 55555 hyphen 4444, again, it says submitted. But if I leave off a digit, please match the requested format. And they have this. Here's one for phone numbers. All right. And the format has got a, again, the 99, etc. Well, that's a US phone number is in here, right here. And that's based on the exchange, or the area code hyphen, the exchange hyphen 4 digits. So again, as they say, if I put in 111-222-3333 and check it out, it'll say submitted. If I happen to leave a digit off, or I put an extra digit in there, it says please match the requested format. So down and dirty, if you want something just for zip codes, phone numbers, emails, etc., names. All right, so there's different ways that you can do this. That's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good site. All right, let's continue on. Here are some of the special characters that you can use for matching in regular expressions, and this chart is shown on page 421 in the book. This matches a backslash, this matches a forward slash, there's a tab, a new line, a carriage return, a form feed. A new line is a combination of carriage return and form feed. This is a horizontal tab, which most of us are used to using. That's a vertical tab, a backspace, a Unicode character, and a Latin 1 character. All right, here's some examples shown down below it in the middle of page 421. Okay. Here are some more patterns. We already saw that \D, which means digit. \D means non-digit. \S means white space, so it's a space bar, a tab, a new line, etc. \S is not any non-white space character. \W is any letter, number, or underscore, typically called alphanumeric, adding the underscore. \W is anything that's not one of those characters. If I wanted to arrange, so if I this would say give me any letter A through Z. If I put a caret before it and then put A to Z, it would say show me any character that's not a lowercase letter. All right, so there's a lot of ways that you can use these. The backslash, as we mentioned in an earlier chapter, is used in the escape character in regular expressions. We've used it before as the escape sequence. It's very similar. When you use the regexp constructor, any backslash in the pattern must be preceded by another backslash. So they go through there and they talk next about how to match string positions, patterns, and repeating patterns. All right. If you start a pattern with a caret, that means begins with. If you end a pattern with $, it means ends with. All right. Notice there's a backslash small b, which are word characters not followed or preceded by a word character, and with a large P that are preceded by a word character. And some examples. You can group things together in subpatterns. There is an example. So this would look for either Rob or Bob. Okay. There's the pipe sign, which is used kind of like as an or, the \n, as it says, to match a subpattern in a specified position. The best way to learn this stuff is to sit there and go do for yourself just a boatload of examples. Here's some repeating patterns. The first one says it repeats exactly n times. You saw that when we put the phone number or the zip code, there was a \D for digit and then a 5. Okay? This means at least, so if I put n comma, all right, that means at least, for example, 5 comma would be at least 5 times. 5 comma 10 would mean either 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. You saw the question mark before, which meant 0 or more times, the plus sign, which means 1 or more times, and the asterisk, which means 0 or more of the previous pattern. So again, there are plenty of examples here on the bottom of 423. Some more of the test validity here on page 424 and 425. All right. The first pattern is for phone numbers. The second one is for credit card numbers. The third pattern is for 5 or 6 digit zip codes. The fourth pattern is for emails, and that's the hardest probably to match because there's so many different derivations of email. The fifth pattern is for dates in a month dash date dash year format. These patterns show how they can be used in code. And that's basically what they'll do next is they go through this account profile on 426, 427, 428, and 429, which ends the chapter. So it says this chapter basically ends with an account profile application. The application represents a simplified version of a web page that stores the data that users enter when they register. All right, and you'll notice that if you leave anything out, there's no .com on there. The phone number doesn't have enough digits. The zip code doesn't have enough digits. And it's an invalid date because there is no month 15. All right. So again, this account profile application lets you change profile information. It uses regular expressions and conditional expressions to validate user input data. In real life, an application like this would save its information to the server. Typically would use jQuery or Ajax or both. So some of the HTML is shown here and in the book on page 427. There's the little bit of CSS, and that's for the red for in here so that our error messages are in red. The JavaScript is shown on pages 428 and 429. It starts with a function named isDate, which uses a regular expression to determine whether the value passed to it is a valid date. This is in a function because a regular expression by itself can't fully validate data. I think that's about enough from this chapter. So we've done it over 3 lessons. When I come back, I'm going to go over Chapter 15, which is on how to work with browser objects, cookies, and web storage. So I will be back with that very shortly.